Hey everybody, Cindy here from the Homeschool Support Group and Resource Center. Okay, so of course this is for my poll students, and I hope this is useful to anybody else who comes in and looks at it. This will be the video for your first APA formatting class. Getting ready to go in and do some revamps this summer of 2017, so you already know how things are going now. So by the time this video makes it into play, things will be changed. After you finish watching this video and make your changes that you see, you're welcome to come in to the office for APA Formatting 2. And you can do a fixing on your issues. This cannot be done on open day. This must be done during class time unless you're rescheduled to do something else. So, APA formatting, right now we're talking about the 6th edition, and the little square at the top of your paper that I talk about all the time, or a heading of a paper, regardless of whether it's a discussion board, individual project, or just something that will not fit on the worksheets that you've been given, need to have this information at the top of your paper. It needs to have a title. So where you see APA formatting, that's the title. And then your name, class, meaning what class is it? I need to know specifics. I want to know if it's English 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to know if it's a science. Is it life science, physical science? Is it history? Is it U.S. history? Is it world geography? What class are you doing that for? If you have a phase, put the phase 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, whether it's a discussion board or an individual project, and then I'll discuss the difference between those. If you do not have a phase in that space, you can put packet work. I don't care if you put my name or Poll Homeschool on it, that's fine. And then the date. This is the only papers that you'll date like this. In order to get assistance with work, you must have work typed out on your flash drive. If you have your computer, you should have it out in my APA formatting and pull it up to the discussion board. If you do not have a computer, you should be sitting in my class and taking notes. If you're not sitting with your computer in front of you, you should have out pen and paper right now, notebook paper please, loose leaf paper, and you should be taking notes. No APA formatting papers, no APA papers can be handwritten. You must have your references copied and pasted to your work. A good place to go for information, of course, you're watching this either in my class or you're watching this on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and pull up Poll Homeschool, and you can find saved videos there to help. If you can think of a topic at any time you would like for me to do a video on, I'll do my best to get it done for you. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer. Do not ask me an APA formatting question on Facebook, over the telephone, or anything else. Watch this video, and then if you can't get it or you need to make sure that everything is done before you turn the class in, then attend a class. Yes, APA formatting is mandatory for all grades and all assignments from 9th to 12th grade. This class is not for walk-in reviews or tutoring on any other subject. Don't ask. Listen. Open days are for records review. You get about 10 or 15 minutes with me. We're just going over at that point in time what you've got and what you need. If you need extra tutoring or something, talk to me and let me come up with a time that you can come in to see me, okay? And I will be more than happy to answer questions for you. If it's an open day and you come in and you have your computer pulled up for me, and you say I have 2 seconds to add, I just got a 2-second question, but don't expect me to do a 10 or 15 minute class and then have 10 or 15 people waiting in line. Often days we have nobody behind you. If you have nobody behind you for an open day, then you're welcome to utilize my time, except for at the end of the day. And then, of course, if somebody else shows up, then we'll have to cut things down to whatever. What is APA formatting? The American Psychological Association format, or APA, is widely used to format the writing academic papers, particularly in the field of science. So 9 times out of 10 you may get them in business, or you may be using another formatting that's called MLA. I do not teach that here because they're just minute changes between APA and MLA. As long as you're learning one of them, you can get the other one kind of down pat quickly. It does not affect the body of the paper, so if you're not sure what you're doing, even after you watch this video, still do the body of the paper, and then we will change and utilize, and I will kind of take you, but this is not an excuse for you not to do anything for the paper, okay? Because it is a specific guidelines for margins, font size, type, spacing, text alignment, indentation, running head, short titles, active voice, citing sources, and order of pages. Do your own research, okay? Do not use wiki sites, do not use answer sites, do not use buy sites. Paragraphs should have subtitles where needed, which means each time the topic changes to something else and you can put another heading on it, go ahead and utilize a subtitle. All paragraphs should be 5 to 12 sentences a piece. Do not plagiarize. If you copy and paste or paraphrase from a site, you must use that as a reference and cite your source. Always use professional tones. There are no slangs. Don't use contractions. Let's review what contractions are. For do not, a contraction is don't. For cannot, the contraction is can't. Do not use contractions. All work must be on a flash drive. And I keep repeating this because I keep getting the same question. Can I write my paper out? You can write a rough draft out, but you can't save your resources on a written paper. You must have them on a computer document, and you must type it out. If you want to write some notes out, that's fine, but your work must be turned in on a flash drive. Always, 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 always write your paper as if you're writing to an uninformed audience. If you don't, and you write kind of half-heartedly, you may not be able to get the person who's reading your paper to understand. You need to work on formation of your paper and letting it flow from paragraph to paragraph to paragraph, using enough details, but don't use so much garbage that you're taking away from the paper. Garbage is like useless trivia. Okay? Not that useless trivia is bad, because it's not, but always write your paper as if you're writing it to an uninformed audience. The paper all papers need to be written in Times New Roman. There is no other font that will be acceptable. It must be in 12 font. Don't blow your paper up to 15 and 16 font thinking that I'm going to be okay with the length of the paper, because it's not going to happen. Normally, if I ask you for 5 pages, I'm usually asking you to type 2.5 pages single space, because when you double space it, it usually goes out to about 5 pages. Discussion boards are single spaced, IPs are double spaced. Discussion boards have room for discussion. In colleges, you will be required to do peer responses. Peer responses means when you put your discussion board up, peers can come back and critique your paper. So you need to make sure that you can put some opinion in there, but always be careful. Put 2 references on discussion boards by backing your opinion up with fact. Individual projects have to be facts only. Even if I ask you for opinion, you should be doing opinions on discussion boards and not in individual projects. Always, always, always back up opinion with facts, and always be detailed. Do not use an APA template on Microsoft Word. If you use a template, my computer picks that up, and you will not get a grade for the assignment. You will have to redo the assignment. This is a warning. Okay. Discussion boards. When you're doing a discussion board, they do not have cover pages. They do not have abstract pages. They do not have separate body pages. They do not have separate reference pages. Everything is on one, and I'll show you an example here in a minute. Everything is on one. It kind of flows one into the other. APA formatted IPs have all this stuff separate. They do have a heading with the body of the paper. Remember, we talked about the title, your name, the class, the phase, my name or poll, and the date. So those have to be on the top of the discussion boards. Also, they're usually roughly about 200 words. They can vary from teacher to teacher. Mine usually run 400 to 600 or 400 to 700 words. They must be in paragraph form, and they have to have at least 2 references to support opinion. Now, I'm not asking you for references when you have to introduce yourself or anything like that, or if I ask you to come up with an imaginary family in parenting. There are some things that I don't require references to, and when you go to college, you want to ask your teacher if the discussion boards have to have references. Here's a sample of a discussion board. If you notice, everything kind of flows. It's single spaced. Your heading is at the top, and then the only reason why the references are on the second page is because of the fact that that's just where the spacing ended up. So that it just kind of is all on one page and it kind of flows together. Individual projects. They have a cover page. Oftentimes a professor or a teacher will ask for an abstract. There are body pages, reference pages. They have a running head. They have a page number. There's no room for opinion, and they must have references. There are teachers that ask you to reference your if you have any charts, or you make up any charts or pull charts off the internet, or if you do an APA formatted PowerPoint, there are teachers that may ask you to cite your images. So you can't say you got them from Google Images because they came from a specific website, and I'll go into that in a few minutes. Now, the general guidelines are, here we go, Times New Roman font, 12-point font, double spaced, 1-inch margins, page numbers in the upper right corner. Header contains capitalized title in the upper left-hand corner. Title centered on second page after the title page. It's usually not centered now. It's on the left-hand side. Major headings are centered or in bold. That's your subtitles. Quotations of 40 or more words are in block format, which what you need to do is you need to put your quotations and you need to italicize that. Title page guidelines, you have the running head. H in head is not capitalized. Running head is 2 separate words followed by a semicolon, and the title is in all caps. Everything in that little square that we talked about again with the title and your name and those kind of things that go in the center of the page. Your reference list needs to go on there. It needs to go on its own page. They need to be in ABC order. The word references goes on the top, not works cited, not internet sites or any of that. It must say references. They're listed in alphabetical order. Once they're done, they're hanging indented for citation. The first line is left aligned and the following lines are indented, which is a hanging indentation, and we'll go over that in class. Once you come in, I can show you very quickly on how to do a hanging indentation. This is what, of course, I've cut the page off for this picture so you guys can see. The rest of that is kind of a blank page. You can see what a proper running head looks like, and this is always for page 1. And there's the block of stuff. It has the title, the student name, that kind of thing all in the center. Only getting running head on the cover page. If you look right here where it says different first page, once you pull up design and you put different front page or first page, if you click on that, then it will only allow you to have running head in the first one, and then when you click on page 2, you can put a regular heading in there, okay? If you have a problem with that, bring it in. we'll go over that and I'll show you how to fix the running head. Everybody is iffy on abstracts. Some people use abstracts, some people don't use abstracts. Let's just say for practice, you can use abstracts here. Do not put formatting your APA paper in the top part of that on page 2. It should be the title of your paper in all cap letters. Abstract does go in there. It's bold. It is a paragraph that is not indented, and it runs between 150 and 200 words that sums up the paper in just that part. It's like a prelude or whatever to the paper. If you are missing word count, abstracts are an absolute blessing. They're a pain in the butt, but they're an absolute blessing. Sometimes you can write the abstract before the paper, and oftentimes if you're not sure where you're going with the paper, you can go back and add one in. Just make sure it always falls on page 2 and it always is alone on page 2. Now, when you're writing a research paper, you need to have a thesis statement. What is a thesis statement? This thesis controls the paper. It's kind of like a fact statement at the end of it where you say, I believe that homeschooling is a better education for children than public school. That's a thesis statement if you're writing a paper on whether you like public school over homeschool, okay? So make sure that you're kind of looking here and it says, ask yourself, what is it I want to prove? 9 times out of 10, the thesis statement will go in the abstract, and it also goes in, or can go in, if it's not used in the abstract, it will go in your introduction paragraph. It's usually kind of the last sentence of that introduction paragraph. So make sure that those are printed clear, and make sure that there's clear statements for that. Okay, now we're going to talk about body pages. Now, body pages have an opening paragraph. They use subtitles for the topic change. They have body paragraphs. Every paragraph should have 5 to 12 sentences. At the end of your body pages, you may have one body page, you may have 25 and 30 body pages depending on who your professor is or who your teacher is. Usually my papers run 3 to 5 pages, 5 to 7 pages depending on what it is. But remember, it's double spaced. Make sure you always have an opening paragraph, and the opening paragraph doesn't really have to have a subtitle over it, and the closing paragraph does not have to have a subtitle over top of it. It's just kind of the ending of the paper, and it kind of rounds it up, and it almost kind of states, reworded a little bit of what the abstract says, and it kind of goes back to the opening paragraph to prove you were either right or wrong or indifferent or something changed or something like that, okay? And I have a lot of question slides in here, and during these question slides, I'm going to pause them if you're in my class, and that will give you the opportunity to ask questions. Okay, after you do the cover page and after you have the body pages, you're going to do a reference page. The reference page, remember what I said, it cannot say works cited, it cannot say internet sites, it has to say reference page. And this is where you're going to give credit to the author that wrote the material that you've got your information from. So they will be alphabetized. That doesn't mean they have to be used in that specific order in the body of the paper, but they will be alphabetized. If you will copy and paste your, put references at the bottom of your paper, if you will copy and paste your websites, if you cannot get what I'm telling you from this video, if you will copy and paste them and you bring it in for an APA class, I will be more than happy to help you learn how to cite your references, and I will teach you how to do in-text citation. You must do in-text citation. Well, how do you in-text cite? Well, you have to APA format your references first. And if you notice the white rectangle, you'll notice 2 references there. how I have Georgetown Law, comma 2007, and I have Laws, comma 2017. That's what an in-text citation looks like in your paper, and that should be placed around any quote from that. It needs to have that on top of it, even if the whole paragraph was used out of that same reference. You have to cite it you have to cite it in the quote as well as at the end of the paragraph. If you can use more than one in-text citation in a paragraph, and that's fine, and we'll go over some of that stuff, okay? Now, we're going to take a quick pause from the IPs for just a minute, and we're going to talk about an outline. And sometimes an outline will be asked for by your instructor. The outlines I request need to have a proper heading. The one on the slide that you see is not properly headed. Of course, again, it's the title, it's the class, it's the phase, it's your name and all that stuff on there. But it has Roman numerals. It has, I don't care if you put Roman numeral 1, slide 1, and then up underneath that slide you can write a little brief couple of points bulletins about your slide. Number 2, topic sentence. You can use this to tear down your topics. You can use this to tear down a slide. You can use this to tear down an assignment. Oftentimes, if you can't get your thoughts together, outlines are very helpful. However, on this particular example of an outline, you will see topic sentence number 3. Make sure that the last Roman numeral on your outline always says references, and go ahead and APA format your references to go up underneath it. That way, it saves you time, and your in-text citation you can take and put it up. Like if you're writing right here, if you're putting support and you put a detail and your information here, you can put your in-text citation here. That way you'll know that that's where you got that information from, and you can go back and look at that web page in order to get that information to complete a paper should you have to. But down here on the bottom, make sure that you put references here, and then you APA format your references here. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be on one paper, it just is easier for me to show it to you like this. Alright. Questions are guaranteed in life, answers aren't. So if you ask me a question, if I don't know the answer to it, I will find it out. I'm not a professional at APA formatting, by no means, and it drives me crazy because of our college, 6 years in college of writing APA formatting papers, so don't ask me to feel sorry for you, please. Okay, if you quote something, see how we have the quotation marks here and it's on the outside. When you write the sentence, instead of putting your punctuation here, it needs to go, this is your in-text citation, your whatever it is, you need your last punctuation mark, and then your quotation marks. All of this gets italicized to make sure that you have it, and this is what your this is the place that we got this quote from. So this is where you will make sure that you have that right thing. So let's talk about PowerPoints. Okay, this is a properly formatted APA PowerPoint example. First part of my PowerPoint. Make sure you have a design. Please don't come in here with your PowerPoints with no design to them. Go up to the design tab, pull it down, find some kind of design that fits your topic. You can also find other ones. If you're kind of computer savvy, you can find other ones on there. Make sure your information is on the front of that. And yes, it has to be on that. Don't put by, that's unprofessional. Why do we use PowerPoint slides? Well, I guess you can see by this video that we are doing a presentation. However, a teacher's presentation is a little bit differently from what a student's presentation would be. And you're supposed to keep, if you're looking down here at the PowerPoint, you need to keep the slide clean and simple. Do not have lots of text on each slide. Use charts, diagrams, and pictures. Only one picture on the slide and a couple of points bulletins are all you need on a slide. Or if you're going to have just one large picture that's got a chart or something on it, only use that. But you're going to be doing PowerPoint slides and you're going to be doing presentations. So a lot of this other stuff will help you later on. So make sure you come back and take a look at this if you ever have to do a PowerPoint slide in the future. All right, points to ponder. This must be professional looking. It needs to have a design that's appropriate. It needs to have a title slide. You have your body slides. Body slides should have speaker notes. Speaker notes are located under that body part, under the body slide. You can pull it up and you can make your slide smaller and make your slot down at the bottom a little bit larger. Make sure that you have complete and full thoughts up underneath there. Make sure if you have in-text citations that it's in-text cited. It's just like using a paper and then putting a presentation with it, and your paper kind of runs slide by slide by slide, and it's kind of separated in there. So, and you also have to have reference slides. Only one picture per slide. Stay with the same style of picture. If you're going to use cartoon pictures, use cartoon pictures through the whole thing. If you're going to use reality pictures, use reality pictures of the same thing. No more than 4 or 5 points bulletins at a time. You can also adjust. If you see I've adjusted my font on some of these to make it bigger or smaller, it's fine. Body slides should always follow you should always follow the directions of the assignment that you get. Always use 1 to 2 slides per subtitle. It's okay to write education on one slide, or like I've got body slides up here. The next slide might say body slides continued, CONT, in parentheses. Those are okay because that just shows that you're going from one to the other. The slide should not be too busy. If you look at my slide now, it's got a lot of points bulletins on it, and it should not have that many. One side or the other side is fine, and then a picture or whatever, but this is just for learning purposes only. The design should fit the topic. All body slides should have speaker notes. One picture and points bulletin, one chart or graph. If you use one style of picture, stay with it. And I keep repeating these because if for some reason you kind of get away from yourself listening to all this, you can go back and listen. But I repeat myself so that way you'll understand. You can put an introduction paragraph on the title slide if you want to, and you think that that'll fill it up a little bit more. They do not have abstract slides, but they can request one. You may have to write something on there. You know, you might have somebody that does that. I do not require an abstract slide, nor will I ever. Found this set of slides on the internet, and if you look at these slides, they look very professional. Everything, all the colors fit. They would follow in line with a speech, as what I'm doing right now. I'm not reading anything, just going by presentation on the slides that I have. And the points bulletins jog memory to let you know what you need to be discussing and talking about. So these slides are not busy, but if you notice, there's not a whole lot of words, or there's pictures on there, but there's not pictures or paragraphs or anything else. Okay. Reference slides, reference papers, it's all the same. If you get it off of your paper, you can copy and paste it onto the slide. References must be in APA order. You can keep the points bulletins, things that you see here. This blue, it says get rid of the blue link line. This is blue line here. If you will put your cursor right here on the end of this and backspace it by 1, it will get rid of this blue line, and it'll just have it on regular. It'll just have everything in black, and you won't have to worry about it. you may not be able to hanging indent them. I have had a few circumstances where I've been able to hang and indent mine. If you feel like you need to tell your professor that they need to be hang indented and you don't really have it, put it in the speaker notes section that say, you know, I've really tried to do a hanging indentation on these, however it's just not worked, kind of thing. But go in and make sure you get rid of that blue. If they get cramped and there's more than 4 or so on a slide, you want to use references continued on the top and use another slide. There's been times I've had to use 2 or 3 of them because of whatever my teachers had me doing. Now, if you want to go to a place to help you do citation, you need to make sure that you hit the APA formatting button. And you can use Night Cite and Citation Machine and Cite Fast and Easy Bib, but make sure you click on APA. Fill in the spots, push submit, and it'll show it to you. You can copy and paste that site and you can put it in there. Try it. If you don't feel like you get it, put it on top, leave your link there, and then we'll come in and I'll go in and check those out for you to make sure you're getting those done. Hopefully this video is kind of helpful for you guys. Private message me on Facebook. You can ask me for APA samples like a discussion board, an individual project, or a PowerPoint. You can get me to add a video along with the samples to your flash drive when you come into the APA formatting class. Do not take pictures of your assignment and put them in APA and put them in the private messaging and say, hey, does this look good? Come to an APA formatting class. Don't print the assignments because of the fact that all I'm going to do is write all over it, and you're not going to get an ounce of you're not going to have an ounce of care of what I'm doing with that piece of paper, because I cannot explain things to you when I can walk over to your computer, do what we have to do, and make the corrections right there to the assignment that we're working on. That way you have something to go back over. So don't print these assignments. Okay? So for now, this presentation is finished. Just wanted to ask if you have any questions. Don't put them in the comments below. Please come to class and ask these questions. If you're in class, now is the time for you to have your computers out and for you to be working on asking me the questions in class so we can go over this stuff. But I want everybody to have a great experience with APA formatting. This is time for questions. Pull out your work and let us look at it. If you do not have a computer, you can use one here. I've got 1 or 2 computers around the office you can use. We can pull it up on the office computer. Like I said, it must be done during an APA formatting class. Don't come in here and ask me to pull something up on my computer and fix it for you, because I don't save those kind of changes. So if you're here, don't waste time. Come up and ask me questions. Raise your hand and ask me questions. But if you're not here, this will give you a little bit to look at, and it'll also help you along the way. I tried this in a class. It seemed to do rather well, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a video. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in class. Talk to you soon.